What is the answer? Welcome to the Answer Podcast with Terrence and Torsha Johnson, where we are providing biblical answers for your relationship questions. What's up, babe?
What's up, babe? You looking good in
You
that
too.
black.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You look nice.
Thank
Got a
you.
new hat.
Yeah, my hat. 'Cause
Our
you
hats.
always in my hat.
Our hat.
Yeah, but you be wearing a lot of my hats and you stretching them. So I'm about to get your own hats. No, for
All right,
real.
cool. All right, so today we're going to have a conversation around this question.
What's that?
Why are blended families so challenging? So today in society, we're seeing it a lot, more and more, with every marital union, couples coming together and they have children from previous marriages, relationships. Now you're trying to bring everybody together.
Big struggle.
It's a huge struggle.
Huge struggle.
It's a huge struggle. And people are struggling.
Yeah.
They're struggling, just with this whole idea. And so, when the question came in, I thought about you, that you would know something about this because
Yeah.
people don't really know, your story, the fact that you come from a blended family. So I figure, you could probably help our audience with this whole idea of blended families. So why is it? Why is it so challenging?
Well, let me just first shout out to Bruz.
Yes.
And some of y'all don't know Bruz, but that's my not stepfather, but step up father, right? And so,
why was he the step up father? I think it's good to share
well,
what he meant by
at
that.
the age of 4, Bruz came into my life and my mom's life, and man, he began to be that model, that example, providing, protecting, for us, and so he stepped up to the plate, and so definitely he's gone on be with the Lord. One of his favorite phrases, just better say thank you.
Just better say thank you.
Just better say thank you. I came up with an idea, you remember a couple of days ago about that?
What was it?
I forgot. It'll come back to me. But
oh no, I remember you said it would be like an event where we would celebrate people who stepped up,
right,
and
just
honor
better say,
them.
Yeah. So at the Answer Conference next year, this moment.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to be at the Answer Conference. I thought it was just an idea.
Well, I just thought maybe a segment. I don't know when, but just this whole idea of I just better say thank you. That was Bruz's favorite phrase, despite what was going on. So this whole idea of honoring men who kind of step up to the plate, come alongside a son, a daughter.
Just men?
Woman or mother, as well. So we got step up moms.
They step up,
Nah,
we
that's
do.
good. Yeah.
So that's great. I love that idea. But just in reference to, Dad, and we thank God for him and his life and his example. But yeah, you grew up in a blended family, and you have some experience as to some of the challenges that your family had to face, when that happened. So what was one of the challenges with, I guess, I hear y'all. I know our audience, our listeners, they want to know, why you call him Bruz? Like, was that his name?
I don't know what I named him.
You named him Bruz?
I named him Bruz.
Now, do you think it has something to do with the fact that before he came on the scene, you lived with your grandmother and you had older uncles, and so when when Dad came in the picture, they called him bruhs and you picked up on
No,
bruhs?
I don't know where it came from, but
Who calls their dad
I'm the
bruhs?
author, you know. I think it was like, what you gonna call me,
Yeah.
something like that. So
He
that
did
was
the
my
same thing with me.
term of endearment, bruhs.
When we got married, he did the same thing to me.
What'd he call you?
Well, no, I called him Deacon Howard because we
Okay.
went to the same church.
Right.
So when we got married, I was like, what am I supposed to call you? He was like, well, what do you want to call me?
Yeah.
What do you feel comfortable calling me? And I said Dad. And so he was Dad for
Yeah.
me. But he was bruhs for you. So anyway, go into the story of what was the challenge, I guess, with your biological father.
So such a big problem today, this whole idea of blended families. And the church, we don't talk about it.
No?
Like, it's no conversation when it comes to blended families. And a lot of churches, what's interesting, they got singles ministry, marriage ministry, financial ministry, no blended family ministry. And it is such a big issue on how do you mend blended families. And so I think, the first challenge, like, I don't know if my mom allowed him to just kind of be that father. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was like, you can do A, B, not C, D, dot.
I think I remember hearing a story about that.
Like, you can do A, B, not C, D.
So that's big, because when it comes to blended families, the parent of the child typically wants to have all the say in how the child is reared, disciplined, cared for, all of the things, right? And so I remember hearing a story about when he wanted to discipline you.
What? Man, he wanted to whoop me because
You probably needed it.
No, but so what happened? Since we talking about him, I changed my grades on my report card.
You needed your butt whooped.
I didn't change my grades on the report card, and I ain't gonna lie, I made an F. I made it into a B. I made that thing to a B, and I got through with my mom.
Mom, she ain't noticed it.
Look at my baby. She like, look at my baby.
Wow.
He doing so well. Bruhs erased that thing. He knew.
Bruhs knew.
It was a F. Amen. I mean, the
You said
eraser
amen.
and everything.
And it is so.
The eraser, babe, and everything on that. My mama like, I don't know if she had glass or whatever, but she like, look at my baby. And bruh's like, that is not no B.
He knew
That's
you
a
weren't
F.
doing your work.
And he wanted to whoop me.
He wanted to discipline you.
And after that, she wouldn't tell him stuff.
Oh, goodness.
She wouldn't tell him stuff. She would keep things away from him when I really needed that discipline.
You needed that. And we're not saying, just for those of you who are listening, that you always have to, whoop your child, lay hands on your child. Now, we believe the Bible. And the Bible says spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need a rod, but not all the time.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah,
you can discipline.
Yeah, I think discipline must be accompanied with love.
With love.
And I think when it's accompanied with love, then you're going to know what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I just think a lot of times we just wasn't trained. Sometimes it is a conversation. Sometimes where you clear on expectations, And so I just think if you're going to discipline your child, make certain you do it with love and make sure you you manage the emotion of anger, because I think that's when it's no longer discipline. You're punishing the child. You're hurting the child. So, but that F. And my mom, and she like, that ain't no. And man, he want to discipline me, and it got out to them aunties.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it got out to that grandma. And Medea, that's who my grandmother, that's what we call, in our community, like Medea and it went
It
viral.
went
Portia.
viral.
Before viral, it then went.
It went viral through the family.
Through the phone.
Yeah, through the
Three-way.
phone.
That
The
rotary.
whole family knew about.
That rotary phone.
He wanted to discipline you.
Yes, and that thing then went viral. And girl,
Oh my gosh.
they hot. They hot at bros and all that kind of stuff. And so,
How old were you?
man, probably middle school or
Oh, you were that old?
or high school.
Okay, you weren't
Yeah.
elementary.
Not I wasn't changing no grades in elementary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how clever you were and what age.
I wasn't doing it in elementary.
Okay.
It was
So middle school.
high
Okay.
school, something like
Okay.
that.
All right.
And it got out
It got out.
that he didn't touch me. He didn't lay his hands on me and discipline me. And boy, it was tight at the Thanksgiving
Dinner
I think
that
they
year.
put a little something in us.
No,
Turkey
they
and drink.
didn't. No, they
No.
didn't. But I know
But
they
you
side
felt
eyed
it.
him
It
and
was thick.
everything. It
You
was,
felt it.
yeah.
You felt it, and I think that was a challenge, a barrier, just trying to get over that for him to be the father.
So when you say that, it just makes me think about, he's coming in to be the support for the family, to love you.
Yeah.
When he said, I do at the altar, it wasn't just for your mom, it's for you as well. So to do that and then want to discipline you, the Bible teaches us that who the Lord loves, like he disciplines.
Discipline, yeah.
And so we know it was needed, but now that everybody then pretty much backed you behind receiving the discipline, how did he proceed thereafter? Like,
With caution.
did he discipline you
I think he stepped
ever
back.
again?
I think at that particular moment he stepped back. Of course he would, still correct me. Because I really believe the Bible is real big on this. The word is good for correction. And I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, correction is for your protection and direction. Am I preaching? I know we're on podcast.
That's good though. Correction is for your protection and direction.
Yeah, and
I like it.
I think we need that. And I think the Bible talks about rebuking with reproof. You know what I'm saying? So there is a rebuke, but it's in love.
Yeah.
And I think, he gracefully did that moving forward. But I do believe it was some hesitation.
Yeah, I wanted to say, because just based on some of the stories I've heard when you were a little older, like he may have backed all the way back
Yeah.
and didn't hardly discipline you. And as a result of that, maybe there was some little growth stunning as a result. Like you would have matured in some areas had you had that father to come in and discipline you.
Yeah.
And you pretty much say that you kind of felt like you raised yourself in high school.
Yeah, I really believe that, just some of the things just wasn't shared, and I think just this whole idea of like, okay, how do you get over that and really establish, hey, Gwen, I'm coming into your life,
That's your mom.
my mom, to be the father for Terrence and to be your husband.
So, and I think that, were you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
You interrupt me 4 or 5 times, but it's okay.
No, I just wanted to say that because, as we're talking about blended families and definitely that being, a huge issue when it comes to, just trying to, be that support, love. But if you can't discipline or correct, then am I providing the love that you need?
Yeah.
As a result of not being able to do that. When it comes to respecting, like when you love somebody and you respect somebody, hopefully you have enough confidence to provide some level of correction or discipline if it's needed. Like I can't imagine when it comes to our kids, right? They do something wrong. And even though we're not a blended family, like there are times I don't want you saying something to my child or correcting them in that moment or being as firm as I know you can be. Sometimes I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Right? but I allow you to do it. I submit to you doing it because, one, I know it's in love and it's for the best interests of the child, in the future.
I just think, man, if you're going to marry a man, right? Like if you're gonna say I do, it's very important that you spend the time and up front, like making certain that you search his heart and his character, because you can't have him on like strings. You know what I'm saying? Like
Reeling them back.
Like reeling him back. And I think it starts in the dating and the courtship. Like you have to make certain, man, look at this man's beliefs, look at his values, look at his track record. I'm getting ready to marry this man, right? And so if he can lead us financially, he can lead us in the area of discipline, he can lead us in the area of faith. And I think it's very important that when you're dating him or when y'all are dating her, you got to make sure y'all on one accord and you trust him. Because if you trust him, you will entrust everything to him.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge if you trust him.
Yeah. And not just your money, your family, your children, if you got a dog, all of them. Like I trust you, so I'm going to entrust everything that I'm bringing into this union, to you.
That's good because love, trust. And
trust,
and a lot of times you'll have people get into marriages and they haven't considered what you said.
Yeah.
And I love that because you'll entrust everything. And a lot of times we don't.
That's what it is. Like you don't even know him like that.
One of the reasons though, it may be hard though, once you get into the marriage to entrust.
Okay.
Because maybe you got a little anger that you need to manage, right? And I know you talked about it, like you got to be healthy, but what if my child is deathly afraid, of you? And I see that you got some, how you act. Like, I don't want you disciplining my child.
I think that's, it goes back to this whole idea of like dating with intentionality, making sure you get to know him, like who you.
We already married though.
Well, I think at that particular point, like you need step up father skills, because that's a different skill. Like, how do I win the heart of a young man who's not my biological son, or win the heart of a daughter who's not my biological daughter? And I think just a lot of men who say I do, right, to the wife, well, what do you need to prepare to do when it comes to raising a son or daughter who's not yours? And I think that requires, like, you got to get the skills up, because that's a different level of skill. Like, I got to win that daughter's heart. I got to win that son's heart. And how do you do that? I think the best way to do that is love. I think when authentic love happens, it's kind of hard to misinterpret it. When you're showering people with love, like in kindness and patience and gentleness and long suffering, eventually a person like, oh, this man for me.
Yeah, that just made me think about, as I said, children can be deathly afraid, of the parent or the step-up parent, but perfect love drives out fear.
That is.
So if it is love, then you won't be afraid.
It's gonna drive that fear.
No, that's good. It makes me think about, some friends of ours. They got married in Lake Jackson years ago.
Yeah.
And Carl and Kathy Landry. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And I remember witnessing, I didn't know it was going to happen, but we witnessed Carl, who was not Kathy's daughter's father. But when she stood at the altar, he presented her a ring and her daughter a ring. And I thought that was so beautiful, just Carl's commitment.
His covenant. I'm in covenant
Yes.
with the family.
With the family. And I thought to myself
That's
how
good.
wonderful that was for her daughter, Couture, to have that happen at such a young age. She was, I don't even think she was a teenager at the time. No, she wasn't, because she just became one. But yeah, being that young and knowing that you're not just asking for my mom's hand in marriage, but you're also, just asking me if I can be your father.
Yeah.
Even though her father is in her life. So I thought that was beautiful. And that's a little tip for anybody who thinking about marrying into a blended family. But I thought that was
Yeah.
special.
I think like really, if you're marrying someone who have a child, right? Like you have to do the work up front on being that step up father, a step up mother, right? And I think the most important thing is building that trust. Yeah, you got to build this trust, that kind of thing. So that's what happened. Bros began to build that trust, and the family began to embrace him. You know what I'm saying? He went from, them throwing rocks to Hercules. He buying stuff for everybody in the family. He taking care of the family. And so he became one of the pillars. Are you hearing me?
A pillar.
For our family.
Wow.
Not just my mom, Gwen, me, but the whole family. And pillars hold things up.
Definitely.
And he became one of those pillars for my aunt, my uncles. And yeah, it started rough, but he endured. And because of just the willingness to build a trust and to continue, eventually he won their hearts.
So it sounds like the answer, if you're being challenged in that area of a blended family, is one, earning the trust.
Yeah.
Right. That's needed and required. And then authentically loving the child as well as, the mom.
Yeah. Now, one
Those are
challenge
huge.
we didn't have to go through, I hear a lot about with the blended family.
What is that?
My biological father wasn't really in my life like that.
Okay.
So that wasn't a challenge.
That wasn't a challenge for you.
Well, it wasn't a challenge for the relationship.
Got you.
Well, what I hear in a lot of relationships, the ex and the new boyfriend, husband, or sometimes boyfriend.
Okay.
And so now you got this family over here, right? You got this family over here and the child in the middle. And so often what's happening is now it's crossfires.
Yeah.
And the child is getting hit by friendly fire because
But that fire not friendly.
you're right, it's not friendly,
Not
but I'm saying the child is caught in the middle. Because over here, this how we do it.
Yeah.
Over here, this how we do it. And so we didn't have, that was one hurdle that we didn't have to get over.
Yeah.
And so that right there is a lot of the problems in
Today.
today. Yeah.
Today. That's a huge problem. Just when you have that, you got to bring them together. Or, I'm raising, we're a family that believes in Christian values, right? Biblical principles. That's what we're doing in this house.
Yeah.
But over here, with the ex, you're not getting that.
You don't go to church.
You don't even go.
Don't go by the church.
You don't believe that what we believe.
We don't believe the same.
That is hard.
Only time I go to church is Easter.
Yeah,
over there.
that's challenging.
That's challenging.
And the child wanting to go be with that parent,
Yeah.
even though they don't have those same values, those same beliefs. That takes a lot of faith in God and trusting in God, believing, that he can change that situation around. And that take time.
Yeah.
That don't happen overnight. But you can't give up. You have to believe that if you continue to sow, you will reap. You continue to sow the principles of being committed, you know, not giving up in the challenges that you face and trusting that God is going to turn the situation around. That may be 5, 6, 7, 8 years of the child's life that
Yeah.
you don't see the ex-parent, well, not ex-parent, but ex-spouse or boyfriend or whatever, that parent, just changing their
Yeah, I
beliefs.
think it's a couple of things. You got prayer, right, and prudence.
Yeah, we
Because
believe in
I've
that.
dealt with this. Just with pastor. When my child go to be with his mom, we got issues. Then he come back. I'm kind of reprogramming all that
Got to
kind of stuff,
reprogram the
and it's
child.
like this whole battle. And I share with people, you have to win her heart. I don't have to be with her anymore, or be with him. But you have to see the big picture. Your child is up under that roof with that man and with his mom. So of course you pray and ask the Lord, hey, can you heal her, etc. But then you have that prudence. He don't need to be an enemy. Some kind of way you have to learn, how do I win his heart? How do I win her heart? And that's going to require humility, right?
Definitely.
And this is why we don't want humility. You know why? Because it's akin to humiliation. They talking to me crazy, da 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 da. But when you can keep the main thing, which is the child in the middle. And what are you willing to do for the safety, for the peace,
Of the
for the
child.
comfort of the child? And
That's so huge.
and somebody have to be humble enough to win even the hearts of an ex. And all you can do is pray and prudence. Can't change people, because people like, when they gonna change? I don't know. But you can be like Christ in the midst of the situation and let him do that hard work.
You heard a story recently about a member, I think, who was dealing with that,
Yeah.
And had to put the child out the home.
Yeah.
And, just that story,
Put him out. Because the child was very disrespectful, and the father wasn't trying to follow no Bible.
what I loved about the story was that, the step up father said, I'm leaving the light on
Yeah.
for him. In other words, he can come back, but that spirit
Yeah, gotta go.
gotta go. And we don't look at it like that. Like those spirits, well, we ain't gonna get deeply into that, but yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the blended family, it's a big thing. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't grow up in a blended family,
Right.
but my mom and my dad weren't together.
Okay.
They never married, but some of the same dynamics in parents not being together existed for me, even though I lived with my dad. Because when I would go the summers to be with my mom and my sisters, yeah, she wasn't raising us like grandma did.
Yeah.
Like dad did. And I would come back home and there would be this battle every summer. It was as soon as summer was approaching. All right, Torsha, where you going? You staying with your mama, or you staying over here for the summer? Because they had lives, they had things they were trying to do. I always wanted to go to my mom's house because the rules were minimal at mom's house. And I knew I could do a lot of stuff. At grandma's and my dad's, you going to church. Like, ain't no boys coming over here. Like, it was always just the stricter rules at my grandma's house, but I wanted to be at mom's. And the reason I'm even mentioning all of this is because I think I was probably 11, maybe 12 years of age when my mom came and she was like, Torsha, you can't keep going back and forth. Like, you can't stay here and then, go stay with your dad. Because some school years I was with my mom.
Yeah.
Some school years I was with my dad. And she was like, you have to decide where you're
Decide
going.
where you going. Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. I'm young. I'm like, what, 11,
So they
12?
left the decision up to you.
Left it up to me.
Wow.
But here's the grace in all of it. And I don't know who this is for, but the grace in it was that at that young age, I remember thinking to myself, I love being with my sisters. I love being at my mom's.
Wow.
But there's something about going to church, having a relationship with Jesus that seems like that's what I should be doing. So I prayed.
What?
Yeah, it was
At
crazy,
10?
right? Yeah.
You was
And
5. You 5-year-old.
I had been baptized, and
You feel the Holy Ghost.
I had a relationship with God. Like, I really didn't know him, but there was some sense of, I guess, accepting.
Prompting.
Yeah, prompting. And so I decided at that young age, I'm going to stay with
How
my
old were
grandmother,
you?
my dad. They're like 10 and 11.
Knew the Lord at 10.
Yeah, you knew him too at that age. Didn't you?
I knew of him.
It was probably that. I knew of him and I accepted him, but no, I made the decision to stay with my grandmother. And that was hard for me because I love being with my sisters.
Yeah.
And having a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
But as we know now and probably learned early on, freedom isn't free. So even though I got to do all those things and I felt free to do them,
you needed the protection.
I needed,
correction.
yes, that's what I was trying to get to. I needed that. And how did I know I needed it at that young age? I don't know. But yeah, I needed that.
Correction was protection.
It was protection.
I think that's powerful. I think, just, the blended family is such a major issue. And I think you have to address it on the onset. Like in the dating.
Yeah, before you even go to the altar.
Like you gotta
talk about it.
You have to make certain it's not just learning for richer or for poor. They need to add something in there through mended and blended to them vows.
Mended and blended.
They need to add something to them vows. We need an amendment.
An amendment to the covenant vows.
Amendment to the covenant vows.
I agree.
Because it's some work that have to transpire before you go to the altar. And so I just think it's so important. And one of the great examples of that, of course, you see Joseph and how Jesus was not his biological son. But he had a responsibility. It was an assignment.
It was an assignment. It was an important assignment.
It was an assignment because of who he was raising.
Somebody's
and
at the door.
Doorbell is actually ringing.
Is it a sign?
That is a sign
It's a sign.
from the Lord. That is a sign from the Lord that
your doorbell is ringing.
your doorbell is.
Are you
open
going
the
to
door.
answer?
Are you going to answer? The door. Who is coming over here when we are recording?
I don't know, but whoever is, somebody's going to get the door.
Yes,
We're going to
hopefully
recording.
somebody go. Yeah, hopefully. But so the thing is, what was I saying?
Jesus.
Who is that
And
at
Joseph.
that door? Is that Jesus at the door? Because it can't be Jesus. It ain't disrupted us, right? So the
Joseph.
Joseph.
Yes.
Joseph, the angel comes to Joseph, and not Mary, to Joseph.
To Joseph.
The angel gave Joseph the word because regardless if you're a father or step-up father, it's only one Bible. The father is the leader.
Yeah.
He's the leader. He comes to Joseph and shares with him to protect your family. Gotta go to Egypt.
Yeah.
And the Bible says that Mary followed. And Jesus is protected. And of course, Jesus goes on to save the world. Yeah. Right? But you better make certain before you say I do, you connect with a Joseph.
Yeah.
Who know how to hear the angels' voice.
Come on. That's good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I
You
love
don't want
it.
anybody covering you. So that's critical and just so important.
Yeah, and Joseph, he didn't know. I mean, when he knew Mary was the one, he didn't know that Jesus would come
He
and
didn't.
he would be a part of raising
But he
Jesus.
accepted the assignment.
Yeah, I love
And I
that.
just think that's so critical, babe. Like, it was a call. Bruhs came into my life. Who would have ever thought? Like,
he said he didn't know. He didn't know.
that I was called to minister to
He
people.
didn't know. He didn't know who he was raising. And I think that's such an important piece
Yeah.
when it comes to our children. We don't know who we are raising
Yeah.
and the call that's on their life and the purpose they will fulfill. But if we just commit to the process of being the parent
Yeah.
that
Loving.
loves, yes, the loving parent, God will do some amazing things through our children, and we will reap as a benefit of all the seeds that we sowed into our children. So I think that's good.
Yeah. And if it don't work and it's two families, that's unfortunate. But if you can keep Jesus in the middle of the families, I think he brings the families together for the purpose of raising children in the admonition of the Lord. And I think if we don't lose sight of that, we understand why it's so important to men, blended families.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you all were blessed by this episode of The Answer. Thank you all so much for joining us once again. And please like, share, subscribe. We'd love to continue to provide you biblical answers for your relationship questions.
And what we say at the end every time, come on.
Remember, the more answers applied, the less problems. We'll see you next time.